Welcome to Inspire West Michigan, the podcast that celebrates the visionaries, change makers, and business leaders shaping our region. Whether you're a fellow entrepreneur, emerging leader, or curious community member, Inspire West Michigan delivers content that informs, uplifts, and empowers. In each episode, we'll go behind the scenes with local CEOs, presidents, and entrepreneurs to uncover the stories, strategies, and values that drive their success and inspire our communities. From Grand Haven to Grand Rapids and beyond, this is Inspire West Michigan. Let's dig in. Today we're talking to Justin Raha. Justin is the owner of the Grand Finale Restaurant Group and a partner in Blueberry Haven. As a Grand Haven native, Justin began his career as a pastry chef before taking the leap into full-scale restaurant ownership. Thanks for joining us today, Justin.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. So tell us how you first got interested in food. What fueled that?
I have kind of always had the passion for it. Started at a young age. So then I kind of dabbled into that by starting as like a baker's apprentice when I was 14. And then 26 years ago, come May, doing the math, getting old. But yeah, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So you went to school to become a pastry chef. Yeah. Tell us about your educational journey.
Throughout high school, I did the Career Line Tech Center program.
Okay,
so
great.
Ottawa Area Intermediate School District, they do that for their 11th and 12th graders. It's a great program. Look at today's age, like trades are diminishing, so it's really important too. And it's an inexpensive way of getting education and getting a good paying job without having to necessarily go on to school. I did go on and get my culinary degree and my pastry degree. And then I was teaching for Baker College / the Culinary Institute of Michigan is what it's known as now. Mm-hmm. And I was teaching for them for about, I think, 15 or 16 years. I did get my bachelor's of food and beverage management. And then I got my certification through the American Culinary Federation for my certified executive pastry chef certification. So I get the little CEPC at the end of my name.
Yeah, I love that. It's always good to have a nice acronym at the end of your...
That was the goal.
Okay, so that's a big leap, though, going from being a certified pastry chef to owning a restaurant. I mean, that takes a completely different skill set. So what gave you the courage to decide to open a business?
Well, I graduated 2007 from culinary school with my pastry degree, my culinary degree. And then I started Grand Finale then. And that was Grand Finale Desserts and Pastries. My final project for the culinary class was Grand Finale Dessert and Pastry Bar. But when you're not 21 and you don't have any money when you graduate college, you can't really just go open a restaurant. So I opened it as a bakery and then just started off small.
That's on Franklin.
Yeah.
Where the production facility still lives today.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
So we just recently, since we opened up the Deli and Bakeshop in downtown Grand Haven, formerly Jumpin' Java, since we took over that space, we cut off public access for the production facility on Franklin, and that's just strictly our production facility, so it's no longer open to the public.
Okay.
So we do a lot of our wholesale stuff there. We do, and then a lot of our production baking, obviously. But when I was doing that, I wanted to make sure that I've never moved faster than I can keep my feet up with me. So I didn't want to, keep my head faster than where my feet were at. And so I tried to be really conscious about that. When I first started Grand Finale in that production facility, I was still working as a baker's apprentice, essentially, for Grand Haven Bakehouse, owned by Chris and Joe Landman. And helping them with catering, helping them with bread, helping them with whatnot. And then I would rent like a shelf from them, and I was doing wedding cakes in the summertime and holiday chocolates in the wintertime. And, I think the very first Christmas show I did was the women's holiday luncheon for the Springlight Country Club. And they approached me and they're like, can you do some like cakes or something for this? And I was like, well, I don't think cakes are going to be a good option. So what about doing chocolates? Because I had graduated with my pastry degree, so I knew how to do chocolates. And they're like, sure, let's try that. And that's kind of what started my whole chocolate line. And I have them to kind of thank. I'm still doing their women's Christmas luncheon every year. So I've been doing that now for 2007. So what is that? 18 years now?
Wow.
Yeah. Which is wild. And my chocolate line has definitely evolved from what it was when I first started to what it is now. And then we kept on growing wedding cakes and then getting into more baking production for coffee shops and whatnot. And then continuing to grow till we were asked to open our location in Spring Lake. And that was kind of like the first leap of real like restaurant ownership.
Yeah.
Because we started off as a Bakeshop and Café. So it was essentially kind of taking a lot of what we were making at the production facility and then applying it to a much higher footprint of foot traffic from the public. And so that was a unique situation for me because I went from having, 2, 3, 4 employees to having, 10 employees.
Right.
And then now that we've gotten our liquor license and we've expanded our Spring Lake location to having breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we evolved from being a bake shop and cafe there. It's confusing because we've done some name shifts throughout that, but I appreciate the community being supportive behind us regardless. And so now we've kind of evolved our Spring Lake location into the Deli, into the Bistro Cafe. So very French bistro, cafe style, breakfast, lunch, dinner, having the full liquor license, having a 250 plus bottle wine list.
Right. It's a true dining experience now.
Well, and that gave us the opportunity to grow more. So then, now, when I first started Grand Finale, I had myself and maybe 1 or 2 other employees. And then now we're at, I think, like 35 employees between all of my businesses. And it's kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah, kind of mind-boggling. Yeah. So if you go back to all those years when you were going to school through the Career Line Tech Center, did you imagine that all these years later that you would be running multiple restaurants? And
definitely not.
I mean, what did you imagine for yourself when you were going to school at that point? What did you believe the end game to be at that point?
I think for me, it was just being able to create and have fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's essentially what I do. I do love what I'm doing, and getting to see the joy on people's faces, the happiness that they get when they come and have a good meal, when they have a good experience, when they enjoy what they're having.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not going to be perfect, but one of the things that I try to always tell my staff is like, listen, we're going to have hiccups. We're going to mess up.
Sure.
That's okay. It's just a matter of how we handle it. So if it's something that we mess up on, we make it right.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
But I mean, it still, it might not have been the best experience for the guest, but then we fixed it and we made it the best we could. And then hopefully it brings them back and then they'll have a great experience again.
Yeah.
I was like, I tell my staff, I was like, we're human. It's okay. We're going to make mistakes.
Sure.
It's life.
Yeah.
And it's the restaurant industry. So.
Yeah. And the restaurant industry is not for the faint of heart. I mean, there have been some rough years. How do you feel like you've navigated through those tough times?
I think the biggest challenge was when we were approached about opening this second location in Spring Lake. And I said, sure, let's do that. And we decided we wanted to go French. Obviously everything takes time with construction, so things didn't quite go as planned, which was fine. So by the time we opened, we launched on March 28th of 2021. And that was the day the governor was like, oh, and we're no longer having indoor dining because it was still on the cusp of COVID era. So that was really interesting. But we have a community. So I've always been grateful for it.
So tell the listener about the kinds of creative things that you did during that time that helped you kind of get over that hump during that, where we weren't doing in-person dining.
It's like what is it? That's like the blackout. It's like that gray aura that we still have living over us. It's like pre-COVID.
We have to hope that it wouldn't be the same if this were to all happen again. I sure hope we've learned lessons.
I think that what was helpful was one, being essential because we're food, and then being able to provide people with bread and soups and flour and sugar and yeast and gluten-free flours. And, there were so many people that would rely on us for just essentials of baking ingredients and just like grocery store ingredients that you couldn't get because we can get it on a large scale.
Right.
So we weren't having a supply chain issue, whereas the independents were.
Yeah.
So we were able to kind of step in a little bit and help relieve some of the strain off of the grocery stores. And I think a lot of bakeries did that too, across the country and probably across the world, really. But it was a good little way of getting through. Yeah, it got us through. That's what we needed.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
even when we opened the Bistro, or at the time it was a Bakeshop and Café, and now it's the Bistro Café, in Spring Lake, our location in Spring Lake, when we first opened that, even though you couldn't do indoor dining, everything was available for takeout. So we had the plexiglasses up, but people came and they supported, and we had still lines going out the door when we opened. So it was still a very gratifying experience, and I was very grateful for the community to be able to still like come together and help support us. But that's why it was interesting, because I was like humming and hawing over when I took over the space on Washington Avenue, right next to Blueberry Haven, and formerly Jumpin' Java. But when I took that over, I was kind of going back and forth on what I wanted to name it. And the more I was talking to Jeremy, my business partner with Blueberry Haven, I was like, I can't not have Grand Finale in there.
Right.
And I said, it's confusing though. Because like if you go to the McDonald's in Grand Haven and you go to the McDonald's in Spring Lake, or you go to the McDonald's elsewhere, for the most part, they pretty much have the same menu, whereas we don't. So that's why I try to be very poignant and intentional on, hey, this is Grand Finale Bistro Cafe, we're breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then we have a lot of similar items, and the Grand Haven location is now the Grand Finale Deli and Bakeshop, and really emphasizing on the bakery aspect of things. We have, an 8-foot glass enclosed display shelf for all of our baked goods. We have, I think it's a 6-foot refrigerated display case just for pastries with cheesecakes and macarons. And, we're able to do that on a much larger scale, because I have a lot more room there than I do at the Spring Lake location. So I'm able to have more options. But then, I wanted something that was easy for people downtown. We have a lot of people that are working within the downtown area.
Sure.
But then you have a lot of tourists, and you have a lot of tourists that want to grab something and walk. They want to go down to the waterfront. They don't want to stay.
Or they want a quick lunch and not necessarily a full service. Right.
And, they don't want to sit there and be in a restaurant for 2 hours because it's busy and packed and everything takes forever.
Yeah.
Because then by the time they're done, they're just lethargic and they want to go somewhere, probably to bed or back to the hotel room.
Right.
So it's like, how can we combat that? So we're working on being able to provide like deli style sandwiches. I'm super excited about it. We get a Wagyu pastrami from Detroit. We have a Italian imported mortadella that we get for our Anthony Bourdain sandwich. But then being able to have like grab and go salads and things like that, and then working on a really cool menu for summertime when our foot traffic is a lot heavier, to be able to really kind of revamp that up, and so that people can kind of just come in and grab stuff and go.
Yeah.
And travel wherever they want with it.
Yeah.
Or if they want to eat in there, they can.
Well, and it's a great spot to stop if you are taking a selection of desserts as a hostess gift.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of people that do that.
Yeah. And, or grabbing a loaf of bread or something like that. And, I'm sure that turns into, a pint of chicken salad.
Always,
yes. Always. The signature chicken salad.
If we didn't have that at Grand Haven, I think people would do that.
Lynched because of no chicken salad.
But yeah, I mean, so I think it's definitely serving its purpose, and the community is evolving, and they're taking to heart kind of what we're trying to do, and I think it's showing.
Well, and nice. What are the characteristics, or how would you define the characteristics that, while the offering might be different and the dining experience even a little different, what are the characteristics that you want to ring true to the Grand Finale brand?
Quality. I mean, everything's
Absolutely.
from scratch. We make everything. We don't buy anything. Like all of our macarons we make, all of our soups we make. We don't buy a single soup. We bake off or roast off all of our chicken for our chicken salad. I don't buy pre-done, And then finding quality ingredients like the quinoa we use for a salad is a tricolored quinoa that's organic. We use an organic farro for our beet and farro.
Mm-hmm.
We roast off our beets for the beet and farro salad. So it's just finding. It's interesting because I have it's fun talking to people sometimes because they're like, oh, well, restaurants just like to use everything from Gordon's or Cisco. And it's like, well, I use Gordon's or Cisco too.
Sure.
But I also don't use anything prefabricated and from the freezer.
Yeah.
I use Gordon's oil. We use the canola oil. We got rid of soybean oil because soy is a big allergy. And so gluten is a big allergy. So we've evolved that a lot with a lot of the things that we make. Thus, at like the Bistro, using a gluten-free panko for our meatloaf or for our crab cakes. The amount of people that come in, they're like, oh my God, I haven't been able to have a crab cake in so long or a meatloaf in so long because I can't have gluten. Well, now they can. So it's kind of fun things like that. Or like our chicken piccata, we dredge it in our gluten-free flour versus regular flour. You can't tell the difference.
Well, and I mean, what an amazing gift to give those people who are fighting that allergy, to give them the breadth of offerings that you can on your menu, and the bake case that you have for gluten-free desserts. Holy smokes, so many.
It's a lot.
Items.
And, I mean, fortunately, I think that society in general and the direction that it's going has helped us with that because the quality of the products have gotten better.
Yes, true.
But
so it's not such a battle to make the desserts and hold true to the quality that you want. Yeah. Because, I mean, certainly if you were to make a cardboard brownie, it would not hold up. So
the funny
now
part
you can
was
actually make delicious desserts.
Because we were making the brownie with regular flour, and then we were making the brownie with gluten-free flour, and then we couldn't tell what was what, and we mixed up the trays one time. So we had to label them all as regular and not as gluten-free because we couldn't tell the difference. Because you didn't know.
And then but finally that's such a great problem to have.
Well, it is. And so I was like, well, maybe we should just do gluten-free. Because it's not that much flour that's in it.
Do you actually really?
Yeah. So the brownies have
are
always
all
been
gluten-free?
Yeah. They've been that way since probably a couple years into making them. So at least.
What a great story.
The entire time we've been making them since we've been open at our Spring Lake location, they've always been gluten-free.
Wow.
So at least for that far beyond. And then even with the issue that a lot of times people have is like when you're dealing with gluten-free products, like it tends to be a shorter texture because of rice flour or tapioca doesn't have that gluten development that you get with regular flour. So you lose that gumminess.
Right. So it changes the mouthfeel. But
when you have a shortbread, like shortbread cookies, they're called shortbread because it's a short texture.
Okay.
So it's having that
every day.
Well, having that kind of rice or tapioca texture to it isn't a bad thing because that's the texture that it should be. So now we use that with all of our like lemon bars or our blueberry bliss bar or raspberry bliss bar, whatever one we end up making. And so that is kind of another direction that we kind of went with it, and people can't really tell the difference and they love it.
So, dealing with all of the different allergies and, folks that are living a vegan lifestyle or vegetarian lifestyle, I mean, you certainly have had to make adjustments over the years to all of these, I'm not going to say trends, but some to offer a more wide variety to what everyone is looking for. How have you handled that? And has it sparked some creativity in you in having to address this challenge?
I think it's definitely sparked creativity. That's a definite. And as you said too, and there's a lot of people like, oh, this isn't really a thing, or this is just a fad. And for some people it is. For some people, they just prefer to live a gluten-free lifestyle. They feel healthier. They feel better. Really your body, science has proven like breaking down gluten isn't the best for your intestines anyway.
Right.
A lot of us don't really notice it, but everything's good in moderation, right? So I think that probably, the big argument too is like a European flour versus an American flour, the way things are processed. And it is true. I mean, there's a lot of products when I'm over in Europe and I get them and you get them over here. It's the same company, but it's like, oh, this one has artificial flavors and coloring and this one does not. And the thing that always cracks me up is like when you get like artificial flavored chocolate, I was like, why are we doing artificial flavored chocolate? It's chocolate. It should just have chocolate in it. That doesn't make any sense. So like I've kind of made a point to like switch things over. So like before we were using a different brand for like our syrups, and I switched over to Monin. Monin is a French brand, thus it kind of eliminates like aligns with the Bistro, but also it's a no artificial color, no artificial flavor, which is huge for me, and I don't understand sometimes the purpose of it. So that's another reason why we try to do everything from scratch as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then to kind of reiterate on your fact about, being creative with a vegan or vegetarian or allergen lifestyle, it definitely presents its challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, okay, what can we do and how can we help these people? And so like one of the things is, our beaten farro salad has goat cheese already in it. Well, farro's it's a grain.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't do that one gluten-free. But our quinoa salad we have as a pint, and we have it without the feta cheese, so that if someone is vegan, they can have that because there's nothing in it that they couldn't have.
Right.
And then we also use the canola oil versus the soybean oil, so then it's also soy-free. And then when they get it, they can add on the feta for the salad,
sure,
if they want it, or if they can't, if they're not going to have cheese,
right.
They
So
don't.
as a base, it checks all the boxes,
right,
and then you can add on.
Exactly.
Sure,
and so
that's
like we do
nice.
that. So even when I write the menu for the bistro in Spring Lake, it's okay. I have 2 vegetarian options. We typically rotate between like a 5 cheese manicotti or ricotta gnocchi, and then we have a cauliflower steak. And I've kind of been toying around and like trying to think about what could I do other than a cauliflower steak that would be really good for a vegetarian dish. And there's a lot of different options, but I have to remember too, we're 3 induction burners and
Right.
an oven. So
oh my goodness, what you
very-
can do out of that kitchen!
I'm so flabbergasted by it sometimes.
Unbelievable.
But so that's where I try to bring in like features to keep the people that are constantly coming back to our restaurant excited for something different. But then also there's a lot of people, I think it's probably every day we have people in our restaurant that are like, oh my gosh, this is our first time having dinner here. I've lived in Spring Lake my whole life. Yeah. And I was like, cool, let's take the dagger and twist it harder.
Yeah, but it is still a bit of a best kept secret.
It is. And we're on the backside of a building. I have this argument with the village a lot about it because I was like, trying to find a way to get signage out front,
right.
which we kind of have signage out front now, but it's like the world's smallest sign. But I'll take what I can get.
Right.
But yeah, so that's like kind of the challenge a little bit. But we're able to take our vegetarian dish that's a cauliflower steak, and then if they want to go vegan on it, we eliminate the parsnip puree. We add on either roasted potatoes or we now do lentils because it's very French to do lentils.
Yes.
So we have that. Those are vegan as well, but are also a source of protein. So it's like, how can we have a dish that's available for a vegetarian or a vegan that's flavorful, that's not just carbs? Because, and then it's the same thing with gluten-free. So a lot of times when you go to a restaurant, it's like, oh yeah, we have gluten-free. All of our salads are available gluten-free.
Right.
Well, cool.
You can have
Salads
3 sides. You can have 3 vegetable sides.
Salads have always been gluten-free. That's not what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Obviously you can get a steak.
Right.
But it's still at the same time, it's like what they want gluten-free pasta, or they want things that are typically gluten.
Right.
So then, yeah, we don't have gluten-free pasta. Well, we have done a gluten-free gnocchi before. It's challenging sometimes, so I don't have it always. But if we do a special dinner, we might do it.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like menu items, we try to make sure we have a good array of items that are either available vegetarian or vegan, or available gluten-free, or available whatever allergen it might be.
Sure. So, all of this takes a ton of just inspiration and research and, frankly, eating and experiencing different cuisines. How do you keep yourself up to date and fresh and aware of what people want when they come and have a dining experience? Because you certainly aren't out there getting to a bunch of restaurants around town to know what you're up against. I know for sure you don't have the time to do that. So how do you get yourself pulled away from the restaurant so that you can bring what you learn back and integrate it into the Grand Finale brand?
I actually support quite a few restaurants.
Good
and I
for
try
you.
to, So a lot of times, like, I start my day usually pretty early. So, usually I try to stick around. If I'm working that night too, I try to stick around the bistro until like 6:30, 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm usually like, deuce, like you guys can figure it out from here.
Yeah.
If you can't, then good luck. But there's other times we'll have to work later. And I don't mind. I mean, as most people see and know, I work a lot and
Yeah.
I put in a lot of
One of
time and I put in a lot of hours.
Hardest working
I have a lot
people
of
in
12-hour
Grand Haven.
days, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I also like to have fun.
Mhm.
I like to explore. I like to travel. And so I
Yes.
travel a lot.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
I-
I usually frequent
I would love
France
to hear more about your travels.
Yeah.
There's
So
some fun stuff
usually
there.
I'm in France about 3 to 4 times a year. I have friends that live over in Lyon. I have friends that live in Paris. So it's a lot of fun. And every time I'm over there, like it's funny because everyone's like, oh, what are you going to go to the Michelin star restaurants?
Sure.
And I was like, no, I go to the bistros. But it's funny because I go to the bistros because I want to see, okay, what are they using for silverware? What are they using for plates? What are they using for like the server? What are the servers wearing? How does their menu look? What is it this time of the year?
Mhm.
What's the featured dishes? How are they doing their menus? How many people do they have working? I've taken so many pictures of like the kitchens,
Yeah.
and just to see like the kitchens that they work out of there, which we have a small kitchen and we're tight. I mean, and that's like even tighter
Yeah.
there. And
That's big
sometimes
by European standards.
Oh, ours is big by European standards, yeah. And then just really even in general, like supporting just local restaurants too, trying to go out as often as I can. And, you know, I think being a public figure in the area, I've worked really hard for that to
Yeah.
get my name known, to have people know who I am, and to be able to go out in other restaurants and have other people see that, I think is a good
I do too.
thing too. And,
Yeah.
you know, I kind of like, not to go back to COVID, but even when COVID had first started, I took an initiative of starting to go order takeout from every single restaurant, and I posted about it. I was like, hey, just picked up my takeout from
Right.
J-Dubs. Hey, just picked up my takeout from Turks. Hey, just picked up my takeout from Kirby, and posted about it. And then I had a number of people reach out and like, oh my gosh, thank you for doing that. And I was like, well, we need to be known. Like,
Yes.
everyone needs to know that these restaurants exist, and that, you know, it's restaurant owners supporting restaurant owners.
Absolutely.
And it's even like, I look at the relationship, it's funny because Great Harvest would be technically a competition for us. We have different style breads and baked goods, but still it's a bakery and a bakery. And the amount of times where, like, I remember there was a period where I lost my slicer and I was waiting to get a new one, and they let us go down and use their slicer to slice all of our bread.
So good.
Or they're like, hey, our oven broke and we have bread proofing. And I was
Oh,
like, wheel it on
goodness.
down.
Yeah.
And so they covered their racks and they were wheeling them down the alleyway, popping them into my oven. So it's like, you know, it just takes a village.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the thing I really like. We're not a community where it's like, oh, I can't help you because you're my competition.
Right.
And, you know,
We actually can
everyone-
afford to lift one another up.
Yeah.
And there's room for everyone.
well,
Yeah.
really, and it's kind of the same thing of, like, usually restaurants, bars, things like that. When you can have multiples
Mhm.
in an area, it becomes an attraction.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that you have a destination that has multiple restaurants for good food options, because when people are coming to visit in the area, it should be really difficult for them to pick where they want to go.
Yeah.
And it should be them wanting to come back and visit again so they can experience these other restaurants and
Absolutely.
these other businesses and these other bars, so that it's like, oh, wait, actually, I can't just spend a weekend in Grand Haven. I need to come back multiple weekends or Spring Lake because I want to be able to try out this restaurant. And I heard this restaurant's really good. And I heard this restaurant's really good. So if we can create that and we can build that type of mentality, and even the same thing with our downtown stores, which I think we're doing, we have the quality of our stores that we have downtown are really good. And so I think being able to do that is huge, and it just is going to increase our tourism. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, the tourists. Well, the tourists are what keep all of us business owners in business.
Absolutely.
We're very supportive of the locals, and the locals are what get us through the slower season. But it is the tourists that give us that extra padding for us to be able to continue to be open year round.
Right. And invest in your businesses
And to be open
grow
in January and February, which are the
Absolutely.
two slowest months, because it is substantially slower,
Right.
you know, by sometimes 30, 40, 50% slower. And so, yeah, we can rely on the community for being able to help support us, but still we're riding on the fluff that we got from the tourism or from the holidays to get us through that, just because it's kind of how it goes.
Right. It's a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Exactly.
So let's talk about Blueberry Haven for a minute.
Yeah.
So you and Chef Jeremy are partners in that. And then also Tiffany Belk, who's the original founder, correct?
Yes.
Of Blueberry
Tiffany Belk,
Haven.
founder and owner.
So
and we started working with her. She came to me about making some products for her. So we made like their dressings and a couple
Which you continue to do?
Yes.
Okay.
And then when Elegance of the Season had closed their doors and retired, I took on a lot of those products, and then we started introducing new products. And so they had tried to sell it, and it didn't go through, and then there was going to be another potential sale that didn't go through. And so then that's when I went to Jeremy, and I said, hey, you want to change. I would rather have control over retail. I said, let's partner together and work with Tiffany, and let's take over this business and let it grow. And that's what we did. So
in that process, you've made some changes within Blueberry Haven.
Oh yeah.
So talk a little bit about the kinds of things where you've now
Saturday demos.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a big influence.
And it's like now it's they're expecting it. They love it. And we don't expect people to come in and buy something every single week, but we want you to come in and learn about our products more. And like, hey, here's another recipe to try our product. And so we have a lot of fun with that, kind of coming up with creative ways of doing things and how can we utilize the product, and that just because we have our blueberry store doesn't mean everything's sweet and needs to go on a dessert. So, because a lot of times I think people associate blueberries with either breakfast or dessert.
Right. Right. So now you see some savory options, some center of the plate options. So talk about just give a few examples of the kinds of things that you're demoing on Saturdays that maybe are quite unique.
Yeah. Like we just did our blueberry salsa with street corn tacos. We got a new co-packer for our salsa. And that turned out really great. The recipe is really fantastic, and we're really happy with it. That's been selling like hotcakes.
Awesome.
And then it's been fun to introduce new products. So we brought in like a fig and blueberry jam. We brought in berry cherry jam using Michigan cherries and Michigan blueberries. So that was really cool. And then just trying to kind of we brought in a blueberry hot honey. So that was really fun.
Oh, yeah. Hot honey is all the thing right now.
Oh, it is. And so just finding like fun ways to utilize it. And then we always are featuring, a lot of times we like to do things on Grand Finale sourdough. So, cross promoting.
Yeah.
And it's been a pretty exciting kind of venture. We've grown the company. We've kind of redid the website and try to make that more user friendly. Working on doing some marketing campaigns coming up here. And then we also have two new product launches we're going to be doing that we're excited about. Trying to have some gluten-free product that's going to come up maybe. Hint, hint. And, it's really enjoyable to be creative. And Jeremy is so talented. And I have so much fun working with him and being able to bounce things off of him. And he and I are constantly like talking about ideas and figuring out what works well and what can we do better and how can we do this or what can we do here. Like we were just talking the other day about the new product. He had sent me like a recipe link and he's like, I think that if we did something like this for this new product, that would be really good.
Yeah.
I was like, well, wait, are you wanting a jam or are you wanting a jelly? And I was like, well, that changes things a little bit. I said, what about doing this and this? And he's like, well, that would be good too. And I was like, well, we could have that. And then he's like, well, what if we did it this way? And I was like, okay, cool. So it's like,
it's
a lot of
collaboration because I guess, just a quick bio on Jeremy's background. I mean, having the two of you working together, supporting Blueberry Haven is quite a win for Blueberry Haven and the Grand Haven community. Just like give us just a little bio on where Jeremy came from and how that came about.
Yeah, Jeremy's, he's been all over the country. He was down in Houston, is where he was kind of living a big chunk of his life. Then he came up and he opened Mia and Grace up in Muskegon. And then when that had closed, he was the corporate chef for the Essence Group in Grand Rapids. So that was Greenwell Grove Bistro. And then they took on Lucy's. And then that, I think, just was getting to be a lot. And so I was just like, the restaurant, it's a demanding life.
It is really a demanding life.
I'm fortunate that I have a staff and a crew that I have. But it is demanding. And so I was kind of like, hey, are you ready for a change? Like, let's join these ventures. And, and so now he kind of has his evenings and weekends back for the most part. I mean, there's still always things to do.
Sure.
Like, he also helps out Patrick at Lily Mansion with their events, and then just other events that he'll help out with, doing different fundraising, being friends with other chefs in the area. It always leads to something that we're doing to support or help or collaborate with another restaurant on ideas or ventures or dinner or something for a fundraiser or just in general.
Well, so let's talk about that for a minute. You get involved with some different community organizations. Tell us a little bit about the kinds of things that you're getting involved with.
Yeah. I mean, like at the Bistro, we do a philanthropic Friday. So we always pick an organization every month to give back to. And then at Blueberry Haven, we're always finding ways to do that. So we're good friends with Jenna from Amore with Food Hugs. So we've done a collaboration with a jam. We did a sparkle jam because Jenna loves her glitter. And so we did some edible glitter in the jam. So we did a very berry jam, which was blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries. And then we put glitter in it so it sparkled. And then we created a Food Hug label for that. And so then all those jars went out to her, and we did $2 per jar that we sold in our store. And then they had purchased a bunch of jars, and whatever they made off of that was their profits for that towards the organization. I Understand is another one about suicide prevention. So working with them on that. We work with Jeep Fest, doing a little ducky on the label. So we do I think it's our Grand Haven Coast Guard jam. We make it we put a little ducky on it, and we glue a little rubber ducky on the top of it. So that's fun during Jeep Fest time. So little things like that. We're always trying to find ways that we can help give back to the community, just because, I mean, the community is the reason why we're here. So it is challenging because, I mean, we're consistently bombarded by asks and requests.
Absolutely.
So we do the best that we can, but we do try to lean into the organizations that we feel tried and true to.
Sure.
Another big one is, so Jeremy, Jenna, and myself, we do the Kid Food Basket every year. We do a collaboration, a harvest dinner. I think it's in September. It might be at the end of August. I never remember, because it always sneaks up on us really fast.
Sure.
But this month is the month for Kid Food Basket. So we're doing $2 of every jar that we sell of jam in the store will be donated to Kid Food Basket. So great. I think it's like orange is the color, so wear orange. So yeah, fun things like that.
Yeah, that's great. So I mean, that's a lot going on. Any thoughts on how you see the Grand Finale Restaurant Group evolving over, say, the next 5 years?
I just want to keep on creating really good food and just dialing in systems and procedures and just making sure that we're pretty well oiled. You know, we've been running the Spring Lake location for about 6 years now. So that's why I felt comfortable taking on the deli, being able to utilize a lot of the similar recipes, a lot of the similar ingredients. We have a lot of processes already dialed in. I've done a little bit of work at the space to make sure that the flow works a little bit better, and just finding ways to streamline and make things more efficient. And again, like, still, I'm not always perfect about it, but I think we've done a pretty good job with coming along with that.
Well, if you've proven nothing else, you've proven that you are not afraid to pivot.
No, oh gosh. Yeah, definitely. I've done a lot of pivoting.
Yes, yeah. So I joked a bit about Grand Finale in Spring Lake being the best kept secret, but you are doing some things that help to expose perhaps some new people through your wine education series.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know I, for one, have had the opportunity to attend several. We call it wine school.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's just drinking on Tuesdays.
That's not a bad thing
That's
either.
not a bad thing, I guess.
I always joke of like the saying, what is it? A bottle of wine a day keeps the doctor away.
Oh, there you go. A bottle. Okay.
Or a glass,
We're switching to
but I mean,
So,
it's very European. A lot of Europeans will usually have at least a glass of wine a day, if
Sure.
not more.
Sure.
It's kind of like a way of life.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think it's an incredible value. You get to try probably at least 8 different wines.
Yeah, we usually do 6 to 8.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's close to 8.
Incredible food pairings. What was your goal in setting up that first wine education night, and how has it evolved?
The goal was really, again, just educating people in wine. Michigan is actually a really good market for wine, and this area tends to be heavier with California wines. The majority of my wines on my wine menu are not California, and so it's a murky territory for a lot of people, and they don't necessarily want to take the leap. So I've been trying. The goal was to educate people and to say, hey, these are some really great wines. We try to find a vast array of price ranges, and I only charge $49 for the wine education night, which is a steal. So that's why I try to keep the wine super affordable for that too, just because I have to pay for all the wine that we serve that night. So I can't be having, like $60 bottles of wine that I'm serving.
But you're getting exposed to, I mean, you're doing, Italy and France and Portugal, Argentina, different regions of the country or of the world, and bringing wines in and pairing them with food that from that region, flavors from that region, and teaching us. I mean, the education part of it is very robust.
Well, and that's the fun part for me. That's the creative part for me too. So it's fun to create these dishes, to find these flavors, to find these pairings.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm going out on a whim.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh,
yeah, but you
works.
get to try something
but it's
new.
It's fun, yeah, and it is. It's really fun. It's really enjoyable. And it's the reception that I get from it is really great. The feedback is well received. I think people really enjoy it. Also, that you can have some really awesome wines for not expensive.
Yeah.
And then some really awesome wines that are old world. That aren't like grape juice out of a bottle.
Right. Well, I know how much you enjoy traveling, and I think the more that we all learn about the food and the wines from different countries, it makes others really excited about getting out there and, exploring these places. Certainly does for me. I can't wait to pack my bag after leaving every time.
And that's the fun part of it. And it's like we try to bring in quality guest speakers or representatives. Like, for example, our dinner on the 20th of March is Morone. So I have Serena Morone coming in.
Yeah.
That's her family.
Yeah.
And, she's coming here from Italy, from Piedmont. And so it's like to be able to have that as an opportunity for it. Or bringing in people that just know these grapes and know these regions and know these wines so well.
It's such an art form, a craft. And you can just hear the passion that they each have, about that craft when they're telling the story. And, it is those stories that really help you to learn and to remember, what you've learned on those nights. It's a lot of fun.
It is. I mean, well, it's core memory you're creating, really. And it's fun to be able to also try to, like this past Italian wine education night that we did in February. I try to utilize like a lot of wines that we already carry on our menu, that we have in our restaurant, so that making it more comfortable for people to read a menu.
Sure.
Because it is intimidating. It's intimidating pronouncing wine names.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of times people will put bin systems in so that you don't have to feel embarrassed trying to slaughter the name
right.
of it. And so it's like, okay, how can we help
make it more
comfortable, make it more approachable, being able to do that, which is really fun. And, our goal essentially is typically we try to do a wine education event once a month. We try to do a wine dinner once a month. And then obviously things happen, so I can't always do that. Like
Sure.
I didn't do a wine dinner in February because we also had Valentine's Day, which fell on a Saturday. So that was just a lot. So I was like, okay, I'm good with the month of February.
Yeah.
I don't need anything else.
And it's a short month.
Yes. So I was like, if I'm able to do it, I'll do it. And so then we like for the month of March, this coming Tuesday the 10th, we have biodynamic, sustainable, natural, organic wine event that we're going to learn about education on that and what sustainability and biodynamic means. It's like a different from being organic, but it's more common than what people might think. And then, coming the Italian dinner, and then on I think it's in May that we're doing. I have Anne Charlotte coming back. I'm excited for that. So that's gonna be French Chateauneuf de Pape. But I think it is May, yeah. Because then I think in the end of May we're going to do Chardonnays of the world, which will be really fun.
Yeah.
Because like everyone
not
thinks
all Chardonnay is created equal.
Oh no, but I mean, so many people when you think it's interesting because you have to think about it too. How marketing has changed your viewpoint of things. When you think of Chardonnay, typically
Sure, blame it on marketing.
Well, yeah, but maybe people go to Kendall Jackson. It's
Sure.
like Kendall Jackson is the number one Chardonnay that's called out by its name, and it's kind of like Kleenex, same concept.
Sure.
So it's like you have that, and it's like, okay, that's the basis that it's based off of, right? So then how can we change that viewpoint for others? And so it's like, well, hey, this is your classic buttery, oaky Chardonnay, inexpensive, California. Great. Now let's try Chardonnays from 7 different countries and see how different they are. So that's like the fun part with it.
Well, I think the one of the biggest takeaways that I have had from the wine education nights is that to never like write anything off, right? So if I'm not typically a Chardonnay drinker, that might mean I don't like the Kendall Jackson traditional Chardonnay, but that doesn't mean that I might not like
a
Chardonnay. Right,
or,
exactly.
Or
And so, but I wouldn't probably order it on a menu. So it gives you the ability to try it. It becomes, very accessible to give something a try. You're having just a small sample. You're pairing it with food. You're giving it the best chance it possibly can get to hit your, your taste buds in the right way. And so it's a great opportunity to learn a lot and have a good time.
It is. It's fun. I love it.
Yeah. And who doesn't like to have a glass of wine or two on a Tuesday?
That's it.
So, okay. So a question I really like to ask each guest is how would your team describe the Justin Raha way?
Ooh, wow. That's interesting. I'm definitely, I don't know. I would probably say it's funny because I have a good team and they do tease me. It wasn't this past Halloween, but the Halloween before, 2 of my employees dressed up as Jeremy and I. So that was entertaining. And then they made little cutouts of our face. I would like to think that I'm a positive leader. I'm a person that anything I ask my staff to do, I've done myself. I'm not going to ask them to do something I've never done. But also I have expectations and standards, and they know that. And so while it might be annoying sometimes, but that's what I think sets us apart too from other restaurants and other businesses. And then I also explained to my staff too, I said, we're only as good as the last meal that we cooked. The restaurant business is an unforgiving industry.
It is.
It really is. And so I think that for the most part, I think that my staff would probably say I'm compassionate. I don't want people to get sick, and I don't want people to suffer or like be put out or anything like that. And so, but I try to remind them too. I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to be insensitive in this area, just trying to figure out a solution, because it's like I also have a business to run and I can't close my doors.
Sure.
So that's a really difficult balance, to be able to be a boss and a friend. And I mean, I am your boss. I'm probably not going to be your friend, but I can be compassionate. I can be caring. I can be understanding. I can be essentially your friend. We don't have to go hang out every day, but I can, treating people with dignity, treating people with respect. And the biggest thing for me that I tell, like, if I have someone that yells at someone, I go to them, I said, hey, when have I yelled at you? Never. Okay. So then we don't yell at people.
Right.
So it's like kind of like
being a good example. Yeah.
I was like, if I don't do that to you and I don't treat you that way, why would I expect you to treat other people that way? So, and I've never been like, yes, chef mentality. I'm very much against the yes, chef kitchen and the brigade and like, this is my kitchen. I am the leader and the be all. And I'm like,
but there is a level of quality that you fully expect them to maintain.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they know
and
that.
the behavior.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes like, okay, you guys, we can hear your voices all the way out into the living room or into the dining room.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes, that's not your living room.
No, I mean, it does feel like my living room sometimes. That's probably why. It's more my living room than my actual living room.
Just because you spend a lot of time there. No, just teasing. So how would you say you balance the creative and the strategic side that it takes to run a business?
God, I don't think I do. I absolutely
well,
despise.
You must, because here you are expanding and growing and doing new things.
I am. Fortunately, I have really good customers too, because I'm always like, I think I probably start every single email. So sorry for the delay. Oh, I'm so sorry for my delay. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry for the delay. Because I absolutely despise sitting in front of my computer and answering emails and doing all that. And I need to. And it's just like, okay, let's do this.
Sure.
But just finding
Everyone
ways,
has their gifts, Justin.
Yes. And emailing is not.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Computer and emailing
Doesn't have to be on the list. You have others.
So finding that balance has been fun. I'd rather just spend the time in the kitchen. It's fun to be creative, figure out new dishes. I'm excited for our features that we're doing in March. We're going to be we brought back our coq au vin.
Oh, yes.
So people have been very adamant about that because I usually have it on my winter menu, and I kept the piccata on because it's been so popular. So we're bringing that on, and then we're finishing up our braised lamb shank, but we're going to bring on vodka gnocchi with some blackened shrimp, which will be really fun.
Nice.
Something a little different. And then trying to, the last trip when I was in France back in January, I had an absurd amount of duck while I was over there. I think probably like...
Duck is having its day, though, don't you
well,
think?
so duck is permanently on our menu.
All right.
We finally... I was talking with a table the other night, and they're like, finally? I was like, yeah, I know. I've had it as a feature for the past 9 months. But it's like, okay, we do want to keep it. We were kind of tossing it back and forth. And then really the biggest thing was fitting it on the menu, because our menu it's one page, but I don't want to go to 2 pages. It's too much. I want to keep it simple. I want to keep it confined and consolidated. So then working with my graphic designer on that and having her help me with getting that to fit and kind of redoing a layout and kind of cleaning up the menu a little bit and tweaking it so that it can fit. And it's like, okay, I think we can make this work. And then, is there things that we want to get rid of? I don't know. Because we look at it too, because it's everything that we have on our menu, we move and we have very little waste. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I'm very cheap when it comes. My staff would probably say that, because I'm like, we reuse our parchment paper that's not trashed. We pull out just as what we need, so we don't have waste. We make things multiple times a week, so we don't have waste. And it's like, I used to work for Applebee's.
We can call it creative.
Yeah, sure.
As opposed to cheap, right?
Well, I mean, even like it was funny because we were. I used to work at Applebee's, and I tell all my employees, I was like, they call it the $1 million spatula, because if you just scraped out their dressing containers, it would save the company $1 million. And I was like, and even Chris and Jill Landman that I had started with when I was 14, it's like pennies that up to nickels, that up to dimes, that up to dollars, that up to Benjamins.
Yes.
And so it's like,
that's a good lesson for everyone.
Well, and I tell my staff too, I said, listen, would you rather spend an extra $300 a week on waste, or would you rather have an extra $1 an hour on your paycheck? Because really that's what it comes down to too. I try to make sure that I take care of my staff and that they're all paid well. I think that's one of the reasons that you can keep retention. But then also just understanding, like, hey, let's not waste so that we can benefit from it.
Sure. Well, I think it's a big deal that you give everyone the ability to contribute toward your success. And it's those little lessons that allow them to feel ownership in that. That's a big deal. So looking back to that 14-year-old that was first, you were first dipping your toe in the culinary side of things. Is there something that you wish you would have paid more attention to then that maybe you didn't, that you look back and you think, I've known that all along, or it was a lesson learned?
Maybe, I don't know. I probably could do better with, I've kind of like haphazardly was running the business and not in like a very like checks and balances bookkeeping kind of way. And I probably could have done better with that. But if that's the demise of what I didn't do right, I think I'm doing okay still.
Yeah.
It was funny because Chris will kill me for this, but he turned 65 and I was like, oh geez. And I said, because it's 26 years ago, so he would have been 39. And so they were essentially my age. I just turned 40.
Mm-hmm.
So they were my age when I started when I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like roles reversed. It's interesting because now I'm getting people that are like 16, 15, 16 coming to work for me. And it's like, oh, wow, okay. Now I'm in their shoes.
Yeah.
And I can see kind of what their viewpoint probably was, which is really interesting. Because, I mean, I think we do that.
You have an opportunity to form the minds and futures of these young people.
Well, I mean, I think we all do that anyway as it is. Like when we get, when we're children and we look at ourselves and we look at who our parents were when we were younger. And then when we get older, we look at the younger generation or our children, if you have them. And then you're like, oh, wow, this is what my parents were dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same concept, essentially. I was like, oh, wow, this is what they were dealing with.
Yeah.
And it's like, interesting. Okay. I can kind of see, now it makes sense as to why they wanted to have a glass of wine.
That's for sure. Well, born and raised here in Grand Haven and still giving back to our community in so many ways.
Hey, I try. I was like, it's funny because I was the person that never moved away. But I said, at least I'm employing people and I'm helping.
Yeah, you
I'm
sure
helping
are.
Keep our community.
Employing and feeding and it's a lot of fun to have you here, Justin. And thank you so much for telling us your story and all that we didn't know about Grand Finale and Blueberry Haven, and really encourage everyone to get out there and experience your food and all the fun events that you have going on. So,
well, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a fun journey. I'm looking forward to the future, what is to still come. And, like I said, every day we get people that have never been there. So it's just fun to continue to surprise people.
Well, hopefully everyone will listen to this and watch this and learn a little bit more and come on out.
Yeah.
Any day of the week, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
so
I appreciate
much.
it.
No problem. Thanks for listening to Inspire West Michigan. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a review to help others find our show. Visit inspirewestmichigan.com and follow us on social media for more behind-the-scenes stories. Until next time, stay inspired, West Michigan.